Welcome once again to Daily Manna, this featured presentation brought to you by St. Mark that is designed to help you feed your faith and starve your doubts. Once again, my name is Terrence Gray. I'm privileged and blessed to be both teacher and presenter for our time today. I want to take the time to ask you to go ahead and write down Luke chapter number 22, verse 31, because while our key verse is inside of Mark 14, verses 27 through 31, I also want to refer to that verse as well. In Mark 14, verse 27, it says, "You will all fall away." This is, they were walking along. Jesus told them, "For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee." But Peter declared, "Even if all fall away, I will not." "I tell you the truth," Jesus answered, "today, yes, tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times. And the Bible ends in that verse 31 by saying, "But Peter insisted emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you." And all the others said the same. It's important to hear what Peter is raising and what happens in this context, because Jesus has just reminded them again what he has been saying all along, and that is that I'm going to die. I'm going to suffer. Throughout the Gospel of Mark, especially in that chapters 8 and 10, as we've studied earlier, we saw him consistently trying to open the eyes and the minds of the disciples to understand his plight and his assignment, his role, his mission, what he was called to do. And part of that calling was he was going to have to go to Jerusalem. He was going to have to suffer things of the chief priests and the elders. Remember that. He was going to have to do that. He was going to have to find himself being crucified. He was going to die. He kept saying, "But on the 3rd day, I'm going to rise again." That's what he kept saying. Here Jesus says, I'm about to go through my greatest peril. I'm about to deal with my greatest pain. But as I go through this greatest pain, all of you who have been close to me are going to desert me. You're going to leave me. This is one journey I'm going to have to make by myself. Yes, you've been with me when I was on the boat. You've been with me when I was in Gennesaret. You've been with me inside of Jericho. You've been with me as I've traveled to and fro in Bethany. But on this moment, at this time, I'm going to have to deal with this path, this walk, this experience alone. All of you are going to desert me. There are times, I want to start off by saying, that you will have to go through certain periods of your life all by yourself. There may be a whole lot of people who promise that they will be there and be with you, but there are some situations that you will have to experience alone. And Jesus shows us this in this text. The strange thing about it is Jesus comes back and says, the reason I got to go through it alone and the reason you're going to leave me is because there's a passage that says, when you strike the shepherd, the sheep will scatter, which means he was letting them know that I know for a fact that you will find yourself no longer feeling secure, no longer feeling safe. And because you no longer feel secure and safe, you yourself will therefore take off out of fear, out of anxiety, because you yourself no longer have someone that you trust to defend you and to protect you along life's journey. And so Jesus says out of his own mouth, you're going to be scattered, you're going to leave me, you're going to fall away. But then Jesus says, but I'm going to rise again. There it comes again. He comes back to remind them that that's temporary. That's not long term. I'm going to get up again and you're going to go ahead into Galilee. And that's where you and I will be able to get back together again. But Peter was the one who opened up his mouth and began to declare, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to fall away. I'm not going to leave you. I asked you to take your time to also look at that passage found inside of Luke chapter number 22, verse number 31, because that verse is so powerful. The same setting, different accounting. It says, Simon, Simon, Satan is asked to sift you as wheat. Verse 32, but I prayed for you, Simon, that your faith will not fail, and when you turn back, strengthen your brothers. This passage speaks with such profoundness to allow us to see how Jesus was trying to get Peter prepared for what was to come. Satan had a plot. Satan had a plan. Satan had every intention to bring this brother down. He was trying to mess up his mind and his spirit. It was because Peter was being tempted and tried that here in this conversation it's understood, because you're making a commitment to do something that you're not going to be able to fulfill. And because of you putting your word out, most of us always try to keep our word. It is in that time that you're going to struggle so much with yourself that you might find yourself so internally disappointed in you that you might take your own life. But Jesus does something according to Luke. He says, but I have prayed for you, Simon. And what he prayed for, he prayed that your faith will not fail. In essence, brother, I don't want your faith to shrink. I want your faith to be strong. Then he says these words, and when you have come back, which means there is a return. Don't think that you're not coming back. There's going to be a return. He says, I want you to strengthen your brothers. That's what Jesus says to Peter. Inside of Mark, he lets him know, brother, no matter how much you try, you're going to betray me. You're going to deny me. You're going to say you don't know me. Before the rooster crows 2 times in the morning, you would have denied me 3 times. And Peter was so insistent it was not going to happen. And he kept saying it's not going to come to pass, when in all honesty, he did not even know that Jesus is already gone ahead of him, that in the moment that he does, he's already forgiven. I want to challenge you right now, because there are things in your life that you will encounter each and every day that sometimes you feel as if you will be committed to, you'll be certain about what you're going to do, how you're going to behave, until the moment comes. And when you fall short, when you miss the mark, what the text tells us is that Jesus has already gone ahead of you to therefore speak into your life not only restoration, but giving you testimony, which means your testimony of what you've gone through will be that which will strengthen those who you will encounter going ahead. I love you, and I believe by faith that God is going to continue to strengthen and order your steps. Don't forget, if you haven't voted, take the time to vote. Get to the polls. Make sure your vote counts. And know that I love you, and I look forward to our sharing tomorrow. God bless.